Hey everyone, welcome back to Wind About That. I'm Caitlin.
I'm Bastian.
And today we're going to talk about Indiana Jones and the Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Yeah, directed by
Steven Spielberg. And released in 1981, starring
Harrison Ford, and the movie lasts around like 2 hours.
Yeah.
So it's for the story, I love Indiana Jones. I grew up with Indiana Jones. My grandparents showed me Indiana Jones when I was younger. And I always loved it. But Caitlin never watched them before. So we had a session where we watched all the ones released before The Dial of Destiny. And now she's updated and she's going to give us her full review.
So my full review of the OG first Indiana Jones is, it was good. It was pretty good. It wasn't like outstanding to me because
it's 81, huh? Remember?
I know, and I'm really critical of it because of like the style of it, which I understand is also because of the time. And like one of the female leads, she was always in distress and she was kind of helpless, and they portrayed her kind of like, oh, Indy, like always like needing help, always kind of like she doesn't know what she's doing, and I'm always like, oh, come on, like that's not the case. So that was the only thing that I was just annoyed about. And that was kind of like a funny annoyance where I was just like, oh, this is just like, come on. But overall, I thought it was honestly like a cute movie. Like, I think it's a really great movie to show like young kids who are just like really rambunctious, adventurous, and like kind of have that conquer the world, idea or personality. And I don't know. I really liked it. It's not like my favorite, but it's definitely something that I enjoyed watching. It's kind of like a popcorn movie to me. Something that I wouldn't really like. I don't know if like seeing that movie in theaters would be that mind-blowing to me, but it was definitely a special experience seeing it for the first time. And also the soundtrack was really great, and I did like the style and seeing what everyone was wearing, and it was just and the places they were at, too, like, regionally, like, where they were physically, like, the places they were filming were really beautiful, too. So that was definitely interesting. And I also like how they tie in a little bit of history into it, too, and a little bit of, like true culture, which I find really interesting. And I really liked that, too. And I like that he's, a doctor, professor, and then he also has this, like, crazy alter ego that everyone knows him by, but they don't really associate that with him when he's a professor. So it's just kind of funny of these two different, incredible characters who's the same person, obviously, but he has these two very different sides to him. He has his academic side, and then he has his, like, adventurous...
To fill up museum.
Yeah.
That's his thing. He's all about museum.
Yeah, so I liked it. It's not my favorite, but I'm definitely glad I started to watch them, and I like opened that door because they're special movies, and I can see how they're like a cult classic. So, what about you?
Oh, I really love it. It was very interesting to rewatch it again. It's been a while I haven't watched the Indiana Jones, and gosh, it just aged super well. I don't know, the way it's made aged very, very well. I don't know. I like the story where it happens because it's before the Second World War, and so we have to remember that back then, like there were a lot of historians and archaeologists. They were trying to find relics and stuff to fill up museum, which today people, the museum and stuff try to send back the things to the original countries, but back then it was super important. And so I know these days it's not as seen as genuine anymore, but Indiana Jones has this whole love of like wanting to bring history to his country, and that's super interesting. The Lost Ark is very, I would say, religious based, and the concept is extremely interesting. You said it was for children's, which I agree and disagree. The movie itself is really, really watchable with a family, but I would say the ending, there is a little phase that would be a little bit sensitive for children's.
It's the same. But, it's in the same vein as like how Spider-Man is for kids, but also is for adults. Like you can enjoy it.
Yeah, you don't see dead bodies in Spider-Man.
This is true. Yeah, but with I will. Can I speak to this though? Something that was a bit hard for me when watching this movie was how his whole thing is getting these objects, these sacred belongings, and taking them from their like you know.
I mean, it's like chase object. It's like,
yeah.
And like I said,
I mean, it, like removing it from a grave or like that. Just to me was the only thing that I watched, and I was like, oh gosh, like this is gross. Like that's the only thing that.
But that's what
like,
I said. Like,
but then it's like the times.
The context of the time.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
today, it
and
would
he was
not
a
be.
professor of archaeology, so of course he has that like emotional and like just physical need to bring that knowledge.
Like I
to
said,
other
today
people.
it will not be accepted.
No,
but back then
not at
it was
all.
normal.
Yeah.
And
this is 40 years ago, literally 42 years ago. So when this movie came out.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it was 40
so
years. Yeah, it
when
was
the movie
happening.
even came out, you know, it's like
it was more than 40 years before. So yeah.
Yeah.
No, so
yeah.
I mean, I don't know. For me, the movie is great. I can watch it on a heartbeat. It's Indiana Jones. It's just super easy to watch.
Yeah. Definitely.
It is definitely not my favorite one, to be honest. It is probably one of my least favorite one. I love the opening scene, of course.
Yeah.
In the temple, very very classic opening scene of Indiana Jones, probably the most famous one, which I really really love.
Mm-hmm.
But it's really not my favorite one. I would say it's my second least favorite of all. So that says a lot of how much I love Indiana Jones, because it's still a great movie for me.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, there's not much to say for me. It's a classic. I recommend this franchise to everyone who loves adventure, fun, and I agree with the girl. Like these days, like that kind of character doesn't exist much anymore, and thank God, because
much at all,
she's really like she's clueless.
helpless.
I would say she's kind of like really this like there's this scene where she enters in a cockpit and the door shut, and she's kind of like, how do I open this door? And she's like frantic, crazy. She doesn't know what to do with it.
And I was like, I like grabbed Bash. I was like, I can't hear her say his name one more time. Like seriously, and she's like spinning around in this.
But that add the,
like,
the fun.
oh,
It's like it's kind of the fun still of the movie.
Oh, I know, and I know that's like the whole vibe of that like that era. So that's fine. I get it. Historically, it's pretty accurate, but
I don't know. For me, it's Indiana Jones is stylish. It's this like dusty, stylish kind of adventurous movie.
Yes, yeah, dusty, stylish. That's also it's cozy too to watch.
Yeah,
there's something cozy
and the
about
music,
it. I think
hands down. I'm just like very good. We're gonna put that on the background now. Now, yeah. So I love it. So what is your rating? I would be interesting to know what is your rating for the first movie.
The first movie, because it was not my favorite, because I have watched obviously the other ones. For me, honestly, it was 6 first impression, just because it didn't like. I was like, oh, I want to keep watching. I want to watch the rest of the movies, which was good, but just like stylistically.
Yeah, that's true. You didn't like much the first one, huh?
No, just because the characters were kind of annoying.
Yeah.
In the first one, and it was such an old movie, and I think like it's not like Gone with the Wind or like those types of movies where like I'm like,
way older.
I know, or like The Birds, or like Hitchcock. I know, but like when I
mean, you talk about movies that were released like maybe 20 years before, like.
No, I know, but when I'm watching like older movies, like those are movies that are like, ooh, but like Indiana Jones, because it was kind of in that like in between before film really started to like explode, you know, like
no, I mean the 80s, it's like Back to the Future, Indiana Jones.
I know, but it was like kind of like on the cusp. It was like rising, so it was still kind of like that really old feeling, while also having that newness. So
it's not your generation as well, I would say.
Yes.
You know, that's also something very interesting. I mean, you were born in 1996,
yes.
So
I'm a
the
millennial.
movie.
I identify as a millennial.
But the movie was technically 15 years old when you were born. So
yeah.
I was already like in an age to almost watch this movie.
Yeah,
so
you were 6 years old.
Yeah,
so definitely, of course.
And I watched this movies pretty young, to be honest. I remember. So
yeah.
I don't know. I think it's a very interesting thing, because for me, there's all this nostalgia, and I think they age fairly well.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's not your generation, so I do understand what you mean. It's not like something I was expecting you to love or like be mind blown. But yeah, that's true. We have like almost like a little generation difference. So
just a little bit. I had a very impressionable time too. Like we're in our, you know, you're in your 30s, I'm in my 20s, and at that time when we were younger, that's when a lot of stuff was changing, a lot of stuff was coming out. So.
And for me, it was like the 80s was the time of big franchise, and so
yes, that was like the booming. Yeah, that was.
And that kind of like pop culture.
Yeah.
It's my generation, really. I'm really into the pop culture. All this, like I said, is Back to the Future and Indiana Jones and Star Wars and all of that. It's my jam. I love it. It's like, it's my thing. And when it's not as much, and I will say Indiana Jones is also, I do believe, more like a boy kind of like movies. I have two brothers, so it was an easy movie to put for me and my brothers. So but that's true. I mean, and I don't mean to be like, oh no, it's not a movie for girls, not at all. But it's just like, you know, when you're a boy, you're 6-8 years old, you want to see adventure, like you know, dinosaur and stuff like that. And so I do believe that that's probably why I also really love those movies. I always love war movies and stuff like that. So
so my rating is a 6. For reasons as I mentioned, and you, what is yours? For the first one, I'm interested to see what your rating is.
For me, the first one is a solid 7, just because this is the beginning of Indiana Jones. This opening scene, like I say, in the temple with the bag of sand, the huge like a rock like falling. I mean, it's just iconic. I cannot help to have like goosebumps when that happened. So a solid 7, and like I said, it's probably my second least favorite. So that says a lot about how much I'm really biased about Indiana Jones. I just love Indiana Jones.
You love what you love, and that's cool.
Yeah.
Well, cool.
So,
well, thank you guys so much for watching. Catch us every Friday, releasing episodes. Feel free, please, to like, subscribe, and share this video with your friends, loved ones.
Yeah, we always appreciate the feedback. So
if you want something different, if you don't like the flow of this and you have other suggestions, let us know in the comments. We're always open to it. And we will see you next week.
Thank you so much.
See ya.
Bye-bye.